Brought to you by 1AAuto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet.
Hi, I'm Mike from 1AAuto. I hope this how-to video helps you out. And next time you need parts for your vehicle, think of 1AAuto.com. Thanks.
In this video, we're going to show you how to replace a front axle on this 2005 Ford F-150 with four-wheel drive. And we show you on the driver's side, but the passenger side is the same procedure. And the items you'll need for this is a new front axle from 1AAuto.com, an 8, 13, and 21mm socket and ratchet, and a piece of pipe for some extra leverage, a 12mm 12-point socket, an 18 and 21mm wrench, pliers, pry bar, hammer, torque wrench, and jack stands. Start off by prying off the hubcap. And then loosen up these lug nuts using a 21mm socket and ratchet and a piece of pipe for some extra leverage. And once you get each of them loosened up, you can raise the vehicle, remove them the rest of the way. Now pull the wheel off. And now turn the wheel and then remove this 21mm nut at the top of your outer tie rod. And then once you remove it, you want to just put it back on, just a couple threads. Now hammer the knuckle until the outer tie rod drops down. Now you can remove that nut and just set your outer tie rod off to the side. Using a pair of pliers, remove this cap. And then loosen up and remove that 13mm nut. And then you want to just put it back on, just a few threads, tap it with a hammer and make sure it goes through, and then remove the nut the rest of the way. On the other end of the axle, there's a series of 12mm bolts. And you just need to use a 12mm 12-point socket and then a pry bar to hold the wheel, and just loosen those up. And we'll fast forward as Mike removes all 6 of those. When you remove that last one, just push the axle down into the side. Now spray this 21mm nut up here on the bottom of your upper control arm. And then remove that nut and then put it back on, just a few threads. Now with the nut back on a few threads, just hammer the wheel knuckle until the upper control arm loosens up. And now just lift up on the wheel knuckle and then remove that nut. Now you can just set the wheel knuckle off to the side carefully. You don't want it to strain those brake hoses. And then just tap the axle and pull it out of the wheel knuckle. And you want to feed the axle towards the left side, towards the front of the vehicle. And then just angle it down and pull it down and out. On the bottom is the old front axle. Above it is the new one from 1AAuto. You can see they're identical and they'll fit exactly the same. Making sure they're tightened. Now you can remove the jack and feed your axle back into place, and you want to feed it back in the same way that you pulled it out. And now you can take your upper control arm and push it back into the wheel knuckle. And once you push it through, just put that 21mm nut on there to hold it into place. Line up the axle and replace those 12mm bolts. We'll fast forward as Mike does this. Now tighten each of those to 60 foot-pounds in a crossing pattern. So you can see we torqued that one. Then you want to turn the wheel until you get the one on the opposite side, and then torque that one. And you want to just repeat this process with each of them. Now replace this 13mm nut and torque it to 20 foot-pounds. And then replace that cap and just tap it into place. And if any of the lines on the back came undone, make sure you push them back in and reclip them. Then push your outer tie rod up through the wheel knuckle and replace the nut. And then torque that to 111 foot-pounds. Now just tighten up this bolt on your upper control arm, and if the stud spins, use a 10mm socket and ratchet, and then you want to torque this to 111 foot-pounds. Now we'll fast forward as Mike replaces the wheel, and replaces the lug nuts and tightens them preliminarily, then lowers the vehicle and tightens them the rest of the way, and then torque each of them in a crossing pattern to 120 foot-pounds. And then just replace your hubcap, and you're all set.
We hope this video helps you out. Brought to you by 1AAuto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet. Please feel free to call us toll free, 888-844-3393. We're the company that's here for you on the internet and in person.